What's up, everybody? Today, I want to talk about something I've heard many people say, and I've read it in many books. They say the first 100,000 is the most difficult, and then after that, like your first million is supposed to be super easy compared to that. While I think that holds true, your first 100,000 is more difficult to put together, not just to make, because you can make $100,000 of revenue and only keep 10, 20%. So actually profiting and saving your first 100,000, I definitely agree with, is more difficult than your first million. But what I would argue is that making and saving your first 10,000 exponentially more difficult than that first 100. I'm going to tell you why I think that's true, and then I'm going to give you a quick example of how to go from the first 10 to the first 100 in a relatively quick fashion. And when I say relatively quick, it is not the way of, you see this overnight riches on Instagram and TikTok and all that stuff. When I say relatively quick, I'm talking a few year time period here, not a few months. So in this quick video, I'm going to give you a kind of recap of a way that I see that it's possible. So the first thing, typically going from nothing to your first 10,000, you're going to be starting in a lower income bracket. A guess, most people, that's where you're gonna be starting, because most people on average aren't in a high income bracket, or else that would be the average, and that's just not the case. So in a lower income bracket, you're gonna be faced with a bunch of hurdles starting off. Number one, just the cost of living. Food, life gets in the way, healthcare, cars, maintenance, just everything. And we unfortunately live in this consumer-based society where, we see new shiny things. We need to have the newest $1,500 phone. Every time the new iPhone comes out, everybody's got to have it. If you're a Samsung or an Android person, you got to have that as soon as it comes out. Man, I've got I'm like 5 models behind on my phone. So there's ways to, even in a lower income, work on saving money. And at first, that is, creating a budget and finding places to remove unnecessary spending from your life. And I understand there's absolutely areas of income that's not there. And unfortunately, this video, I can't dive in and explain that part of it. What I'll work on is you're in a lower income that if you batten down the hatches and rein in your spending and reduce some of the unnecessary things, that you can start to save a little bit of money. So the first thing would be build a budget. Take your income and put your bare minimum expenses into the budget. Housing, food, transportation, and healthcare. Because healthcare is kind of a must. Maybe if you're lucky and you're still on your parents' policy, that could help. But if you're lower income, there are marketplaces that you can find income-based healthcare that could be very low cost. So let's just real quick talk about the food side of the budget. You can make all of your meals and eat nutritionally rich food at home for a fraction of what you spend eating out at fast food. And I know a lot of people that go out to eat almost every day, and some of these people are definitely in the lower income side of things. And if they would prep their meals at home, they would probably save $200 to $400 a month over what they're spending going to McDonald's multiple times a day, Burger King, pizza, all that. And I'm not saying to get rid of it 100%. You've got to treat yourself if you like fast food once in a blue moon. What I'm saying is build a plan where you make your meals at home for like 90% of them, and take that extra money and put it towards savings. There's really not a good way to cut back on your housing cost. Maybe if you're currently living in like a 2-bedroom and you're by yourself, go down to a studio. You're sacrificing for the short term for long-term growth. So I would say, look at the cheapest place that you can get your hands on for keeping a roof over your head. If you do have an extra room, find a roommate for it, fill it. Have them pay part of your rent or your mortgage or whatever you've got going on there. Use that to your advantage and just reduce debt. The worst thing you can do is pay 22, 24, 27% on credit card debt. That will eat you alive. Knock that out. If you have it, hammer down your budget, pay off that debt as fast as you can. Don't start trying to put money aside until that's paid off, because there's no way the money you're setting aside is going to out-earn the 22 to 29% you're paying in interest. That's just crazy. So at that point, you've got your budget tight, you've got your excess money, you have to be disciplined here. Save, save, save. Put it away in an account that you don't have an ATM card for, that you don't have a checkbook for, that you just put it in a bank that is very difficult for you to even get to. Just have it taken right out of your paycheck, direct deposited to this other account. And I know people are going to say, yeah, you're saving money in cash essentially, and with the way inflation is, you're devaluing your dollar. Yes, I agree, but there's additional risk at this stage on trying to take your savings that you're building and putting it into investment accounts. It's just, in my opinion, it's not the time to do it. That comes later when you have excess income and you have your debt paid off and you've kind of grown to a higher income that you can dump a bunch of money into auxiliary investments at that point. So this video is not about those investments. This video is just about how to put together that first 10,000 and then how to get from there to the 100,000. So now you're saving money. Budget's done. You got money going aside to this account over here. Save, 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 save. And like I said, this is not overnight. This is not in months. This is probably going to be a 1 or 2 year project to save and get to that first 10,000. And inside of that time, it's just going to become second nature to be frugal and start saving more money. As you get a raise, you've been living on this lower amount. Take 100% of that raise right to savings, period. Any bonuses you get, right to savings. Boom. So now you've got this new discipline, you've got this new mindset, you've got this whole process on how to save money. That 10,000 is going to take some time. It's going to be the most difficult. From there to the 100, my opinion, is an easier stride to make. But it's not just going to be straight from 10 to 100. There's going to be these little stepping stones that are going to come inside. A couple small stepping stones, and then there's bigger leaps that are come with it. So you're going to want to repeat the 10 to 20 to 30. And that jump from 10 to 20 or 30 is not going to take nearly as long because of the things I just said before. Once you have that 20 to 30, then you have enough capital to actually go out and make an investment. In my path, it would be real estate. So I would tap anywhere I could. I would be on Facebook pages looking for off-market houses that could be rehabbed. I'd be looking for something, and again, where you're at in the country is going to depend what price you're paying. In our area, you can find something just under 200 to rehab, and that'll have somewhere in the 300 to 330 ARV, which is, your after renovation value of the house. And you're probably like, well, what good does looking at $190,000 or $200,000 house with $20,000 or $30,000 do? Well, I'm going to give you a real world example. The house that I just purchased was a $195,000 purchase. We're looking at like a $40,000 rehab. So we're going to be all in at like $235,000, and we have an ARV on this house of like $330,000 to $340,000. There's about a $100,000 window there. Then you got to take carry cost, realtor commissions, and all that out. So call it $75,000 in profit. Okay, what good does that do if you've only got 20 or 30,000? I know that's what you're saying, leverage. I know I said debt is bad, but that's high interest credit card debt is bad. Now you're gonna move into using leverage and your savings to make this leap. So the deal that I purchased, if you were to run it through a hard money lender or a private money lender, you'd be looking at between like 1.5 or 3 points for the loan, which is the fee that you pay to use their money up front, and then somewhere between 11 and 13% interest with monthly interest payments. And they would give you that loan, including the rehab money, and you'd be in between that $20,000 and $30,000 down. You wouldn't have a lot of cushion. This would kind of depend on where your risk tolerance is. Mine is ridiculously high. So I would be willing, if I'm looking to make that leap, I'd be willing to take like almost all my savings at 20 to 30. I would have built some fudge into the rehab budget. So it's already there on the loan side if I need it. And I would lever out and I'd buy that house. And it is like a 6 to 8 week rehab. So your money's tied up, 6 to 8 weeks, get your rehab done, get it on the market, hopefully get it sold in a month, get a buyer inside of a month. You got 30 to 45 days to closing, and get to the closing table, and you walk away with a check for, after realtor commissions, the equity that you put up, your 20 to 30 plus your profit, you're gonna be right around $100,000. That is my small, short, sweet framework of 0 to 10, how to repeat 10 quickly to get you to 20 or 30. And then how to make that leap from 20 or 30 to you're knocking right on 100. And then from there, it is like a rinse and repeat process. And that's why I say, I think 10's the hardest, and I think 100 to the million is gonna be even easier, because not that making money is easier, but now you've learned the process, and now you're not scared. Now you're gonna be willing to, man, I did this, it went great. I learned these things, I had these hiccups along the way, but they didn't kill me, and I learned from them. Once the fear's gone, and your mindset is, I can do this, and you have this confidence in yourself, that is gonna make it like 10 times easier, which I think that is the biggest thing that makes the 100 to the million easier, is your mindset. I hope you all found value in this video. If you did, smash the subscribe button. We'll see you later. And of course, I love you all.